What's the difference between unconditional love and a love covenant? Is the love covenant conditional based on if one of the parties decides not to reciprocate?
Yeah, and I'll take this one because really, I think the word covenant you could read as contract. So with a contract, there's reciprocity. There is uh, both sides agreeing to do something. So everybody gets something, and the other side always gives something too. And we see this for a great example is the covenant that God made with with Israel at Mount Sinai, where he says, I'll be your God. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to provide you. I'm going to take you to the promised land. I'm going to do all these things for you. But then you need to then obey me and keep my laws and serve me as your only God. And so it becomes this covenant. And really there's always this covenant with God where life and being present in his presence, in a sense, life is being in his presence, that is conditioned on obedience to him and obedience to his law. And what is his law? His law requires that we love him and love others. And so love is kind of this essential component just for life to exist. It's essential for relationships to exist. Um, and so that's why when you say like a love covenant, I don't quite know what that means because to me, even from a godly perspective, any covenant, any sort of relationship is going to depend on love. And is love going to be conditional or unconditional? Like, you definitely don't have a reciprocity of love. Like true love, the godly love, the love of the Bible is always going to be unconditional. Like we're called to love God, we're called to love anybody and everybody, even our enemies, not because they're going to love us back, but because God has loved us. And thus, we should love them. And then, what does love mean? Well, that's the next question, right? Does that mean you always give them what they want? Do you always bend over backwards for them? Do you always do all these things for them? Not necessarily. Love takes into account loving everybody. Uh, so, yeah, at these lacking context of knowing what you mean specifically by unconditional love and love covenant, it's hard to fully explain that. But I think it's better just look at it in terms of, okay, covenants, contracts, you need love for those to work, but love is not the thing that's promised to be exchanged within the covenant. If that makes sense. Am I losing you?
I got lost. I'm sorry. But that might just be me. Did you follow, Tina?
Yeah, I kind of, I guess like when I think of unconditional love, it's more like Jay, you're saying like that agape love, the love of God, it loves at all times. It loves no matter what. But a love covenant, like you're saying, is a contract and it's like a conditional thing. And the thing is, I think that those two are very different. Because a contract that's like a marriage contract in essence is what I think of when I think of a love contract, because that's a legal binding um commitment based. It should be based on love. It usually is. And so, but it doesn't necessarily mean that unconditional love exists within that relationship, because a lot of people are married, under a love contract in a sense, like, but they don't exhibit unconditional love. It doesn't, just because you're married doesn't mean unconditional love exists. I know plenty of people who are married or have seen people who have been married, and there's not unconditional love in that relationship. So I think those can be two very different things. And the love con the covenant the love covenant conditional based on if the parties, yeah. Um, the love covenant, the second part is the love covenant conditional based if one of the parties decides not to participate. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that can definitely happen. I mean, you can still be in that contract even if people aren't, reciprocating in the way that they said that they would, but it just becomes toxic and or unhealthy and unhappy. So there's
Yeah,
definitely.
contract is about that reciprocity. It is about the mutual exchange. And if there isn't a mutual exchange, you don't have really a functioning covenant. You have a one-way street. That's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
So